Well, we have what is fair to say a viral moment that just happened in that House hearing on global threats we've been telling you about. It comes on the heels of that brand new signal message that was posted, several of them, of these 18 officials talking about the Houthi strike. And it goes after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
To your knowledge, do you know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Ratcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
You know, no, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to. I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. You want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community.
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time.
I mean, Emily, this was quite an exchange just to make something up out of thin air, no evidence to prove it. He clearly doesn't have any, and then assert that someone might have been drinking, as if Ratcliffe and Tulsi were had spy cameras everywhere.
Yeah, look, I think there's been a theme today that, as we've talked about, decorum and the frankly embarrassing behavior exhibited by some sitting Congress people, and that right there is another example. I find it offensive, too. I'm so glad that Director Ratcliffe went to bat for him. Unfortunately, I wish that his time hadn't been reclaimed so that he could have finished his answer. And I also point to in early December when Secretary Hegseth said that he would not drink a drop of alcohol during his tenure as Secretary of Defense, if confirmed. So this is just ridiculous.
So there is more to the clip, Lawrence. I'm reading the transcript here. When pressed by Ratcliffe, you have Gomez, who goes on to say, Pete Hegseth stood in front of a podium in Europe holding a drink. So, of course, we want to know if his performance is compromised. The drink was like water at a podium. So that's your evidence that drinking water at the podium somehow indicates you're drinking alcohol?
This is nonsense. Yeah. You know, when I'm out on air, I spend a lot of time with the men and women that serve their country. And when they come back from war, they come with a lot of bruises that people can't see. Some of them resort to pills. Some resort to alcohol. Some resort to killing themselves. And Pete Hegseth has been quite transparent about his fall and how the Lord was able to turn his life around through counseling, through faith, through mentorship, and through his wife. It's something that he's been very transparent about. And I think for them to weaponize a story from a hero now that he's decided to abstain from alcohol and turn his life around, I think it's disgraceful. I don't think a member of Congress should be conducting themselves this way. I'm offended because he's the Secretary of Defense, but I'm also because he's a brother of mine and a friend, and I've seen his transformation. As a matter of fact, I was actually interviewing the Secretary at the border a few months ago, and I had forgotten all about it, and once the camera stopped rolling, he goes, "We got to catch up," and I go, "Dude, I would love to buy you a drink," and immediately he corrected me. He's like, "Bro, I'm done with it." And so I just think it's disgusting for members of Congress to conduct themselves this way.
Well, sobriety is sacred.
Yeah, it is.
All right? And there are a lot of people, Americans, people in our own families, dealing with that. So you should never make light of that, period, number one. And then also, again, I go back to what I said earlier, Emily, it's about decorum. You know, and then also, I mean, just attacking it for no reason. And back to messaging, the Democrats struggle with messaging. And here we go again, another distraction from what was a winning argument for them.
Yeah, and that's where my head was at. You know, Jerry, this is admittedly a mistake. The Trump administration has admitted that. And you take it a step further to level some unfounded accusation, no proof, just completely destroyed by Lawrence Jones over here. Why do you even take it there? It's really gross.
They're desperate. This is desperation on the part of the Democrats, right? They can get no currency, no traction with the American public. They're throwing anything against the wall that they can. And unfortunately, a lot of this stuff just, you know, it just makes the back of your neck itch, right? I mean, because, I mean, they're trying anything they can do. And I would say it's sad, but it's actually harmful.
I also want to say this just underscores how bad the Democratic Party is at their messaging now. No one has pointed this out, but at the beginning of the hearing, Jim Hines, who's the ranking member, began his questioning with Kash Patel, who was not even on the chain, and Kash Patel just shot him down. But the appalling part is he goes 5 minutes It doesn't even redirect his questioning to Ratcliffe. It was unclear whether Hines even knew who the key players of the story were.
He got destroyed by cash like Will Cain did to him yesterday at 4 o'clock. Not prepared. Not ready for prime time.
Hines, the ranking member. All right, more outnumbered in a moment.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.